not many people picked the Bears to win, and it felt like a loss for a lot of it, but somehow, some way, the Bears were still alive in this game late, but they lose it by a final score of 19-13. Caleb Williams, 23 of 37 for 174 yards, did not have a touchdown. Had a couple of interceptions in the game, which we will talk about. I have Olin, Kreutz, and Patrick Mannelly here. Tons of penalties in this game, a lot of breakdowns on the Bears' offensive line. Olin, Kreutz, let us begin with you. Your thoughts on this Bears 19-13 loss to the Texans.
Went into the game, didn't think they were going to beat the Texans. You're hoping to see improvement from the offense. We didn't get any as far as points go. Obviously, but thought you saw improvement early on from Caleb taking what was there from the Texans defense. Thought we saw again the fact that Coach Eberflus is an elite defensive coordinator. The two challenges leave a lot to be desired, obviously, watching that part of the game. But as far as the offense goes, we came to the year, we talked a lot about the guys that Ryan Poles decided to draft instead of offensive linemen that were sitting there. And we said that this could be a problem area. It's ended up being a problem area, especially the middle of the offensive line. No shock to anybody who's been watching them build this team. They're about a year or two away from fixing this offensive line problem that they seem to have. It doesn't get any easier, Pat. The Colts are coming up. Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner are coming to town. The middle of the Colts defensive line is extremely strong. So what you're watching right now could be a problem for a couple more weeks.
Yeah, 100% agree. My issue is, okay, no run game, right? They can't run block. Pass blocking, they struggled as well, but can't Shane Waldron help them out? Mm-hmm. Stop just having five guys protect and you're bringing, 5 and 6 guys at Caleb. You've paid this money for these receivers, and I know Keenan Allen wasn't playing, but go ahead and max protect. Help all those O-linemen out. Help Caleb to be able to stand back there and be more comfortable, and let your receivers who get all the money like you were talking about, let them win. Let them go out there and get the separation and give Caleb more time to be more comfortable. Yeah, the O-line is going to be the story of this game, but, there's things that Shane Waldron could have done as well. Even just they couldn't even do a swing pass like the extension of the run game, and he kept going back to that. But, yeah, the O-line will be the story of this game, but I still did not understand why he did not help out the offensive line. Put it all on Caleb's shoulder, his second start in the NFL, to try to dissect all this DeMeco Ryans defense. They're coming from everywhere. I just did not understand that.
No, but and if you take a good look at it, Pat, right, and this is what we're saying, right, Grote, it's like every year, it's like, man, get the receiver. Get the other receiver. Go get Keenan Allen. Cheer for Roman Dunze instead of Olu Fashanu. Now, look, I love Roman Dunze, too, coming out of Washington, right? Cheer for Brisker instead of Cam Jurgens, right? Pass up John Michael Schmitz, who's now playing for the Giants. Pass up Cam Jurgens, who's now the Eagles starting center. These guys were the number 1 ranked centers in the draft. But, like I said, you're either in or you're out, right? Like I said, nothing is more Chicago and Illinois than a cheer for every other position but the O-line, and then complain about the O-line as soon as the season starts. Nothing is more than that. I tell you, I'll say this story 100 times. I was on the team that had a Hall of Fame linebacker and borderline Hall of Fame defensive players. You know what they did in the offseason? They went and got another Hall of Famer, Julius Peppers, right? Right. And they put him next to Urlacher, and the defense was amazing. And you know what everybody asked me every game after the game? What's wrong with the O-line, Olin? Right? And I just stared at them. Like, you cannot do a little bit of critical thinking would help you. The O-line is built like this. Coleman Shelton did struggle again tonight. So did Nate Davis. So did Tevin Jenkins. End of the game, Darnell Wright struggles against a really good pass rusher. Braxton Jones, I thought, held up pretty good over there at left tackle. The run game wasn't there, Pat. Did not love the game plan. I think you can go a little more under center. I think they did a little more under center play action. But they did struggle on offense again. I feel like we've been talking about this for 10 years.
Guys, what was most painful, I think, for me as far as the offensive line breakdowns were concerned was that Caleb Williams was not taking light hits. He was getting crushed out there. And, to his credit, he kept getting up, didn't look like he was slowed by it, but he's not going to survive. I mean, you just mentioned what's coming their way next week against Indianapolis, Olin, but like the hits that he's taken, he's young, he's strong, all that, but that stuff adds up.
again, that's going back to help the protection out. You know your O-line's struggling. Put Mercedes Lewis out there. You know, make him the sixth offensive lineman. You know, just help those guys out because you know they're struggling. I just wish they had a plan for that. All right, D'Amico Ryans, they showed the numbers, wasn't a blitz-heavy defensive coordinator, but his game plan, obviously, against Caleb Williams being a rookie, hey, he's coming after him, and he did quite a bit. Well, then adjust. Have something ready to go for that offensive line to help them out, and hopefully he can for the rest of the season because this looks like this might be, I think a lot of teams will do the same, have the same type of game plan as Coach Ryans did.
Yeah, it's just you study the team and you study the film in the preseason and you hear everything coming out of camp and you're like, I know what we're going to be talking about in week 2, right? Olin, how do we fix the offensive line? And you know what I say? You're too late.
Yep.
You're too late now, right? And so and here's the thing. I know we got to go to break. After we come back from break, let's talk about, Pat. You know this better than anybody. A lot of things that gets missed is Caleb has just as much to do as protecting himself.
Yes.
As the offensive line, as Coach Getty, and that's part of being a young rookie quarterback and arranging the blocking and know where everything's coming from, know where the defensive advantage is, how you gotta get the ball out. All that stuff is extremely important as a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, that's perfect, Olin. We'll tie that in with Caleb Williams' night in general, some of his good throws, some of his bad throws, and at some point in time, we will give proper credit to the defense because they played like winners out there tonight. They played like a team that was ready. I mean, the Bears defense is ready, and they're starting to make me think that maybe they do or will eventually deserve a spot in the top 5 of defenses after back-to-back strong second halves. But we'll continue to talk about it with Olin Kreutz, Patrick Mannelly. I'm Mark Grote, in for Mully. The Bears lose to the Texans 19-13. Bears lose to the Texans 19-13. We're going to talk all about Caleb Williams here in just a second. But yeah, that 27-yard play to Rome Odunze is the one that you heard right there where, man, if you're a Bears fan, no matter how badly you felt the game was going, when Caleb Williams had the ball and a chance with 1:45 to maybe show some of that magic, like maybe it sprouts right here, but then you had the drop by Everett, and then Danielle Hunter just absolutely manhandles Caleb Williams, and the Bears eventually lose the game. Texans 19-13. And before the break, Olin, you wanted to talk about some of what may have been some of Caleb Williams' culpability and some of the hits that he was taking, some of the sacks that he was taking as well.
Well, you have to go through with a fine-tooth comb. Obviously, we haven't got a chance to do that yet. Listen to the calls, watch the film. So just off the top of your head, you think to yourself, okay, were all the calls correct? Did we get all the mic identifications correct? Which by that I'm talking about you organize the protection. You put everybody on who they're supposed to be on, which we talked about in the pregame, Mark. It's a little harder on the road, obviously. It looked like we talked about Mannelly wondering about how they were going to handle silent count, how they were going to handle the crowd noise. Although it sounded like they had a lot of Bears fans there in Houston making some noise too. But it was Nate Davis, right, handling, looking back at the quarterback, Caleb giving him the signal, and then, they had some problems, obviously, with false starts, and that's just all handling stuff with a rookie quarterback. So you have to go through it. It's hard to know exactly whose fault it is, but as a quarterback, Pat, as you know, and the offensive line definitely has to play better, especially inside with, we talked about last week how the pressure is going to come from the inside a little more because he is a shorter quarterback. People want to get in his face, but as a quarterback, you help organize protections. You help get everybody get on the right people. Tell the running back who's coming. You tell receivers, if these two guys come, you're hot. Has a lot to do with the quarterback protecting himself, especially when you get to a point where you realize, oh, my offensive line is a little outmatched here.
Yeah, there's seven sacks. I would love to know, as we go through all 22, we can maybe figure it out more. Who's it on? Who are all 7 sacks on? But the other thing, I was just watching something on Twitter. The last interception he threw was not very good, but Darnell Wright got beat pretty bad by Danielle Hunter, and he escaped. And there were quite a few he escaped from as well. It could have been a lot worse than 7, but it will be interesting to go back to see who it's truly on. But there were a lot of plays, like I just said, Darnell Wright got beat there with the interception when he scrambled out. The guys just got beat straight up one-on-one. And then there was one, I think Tevin Jenkins, the guy came through the B gap. Who was the point there? Was that on Coleman, or was that on, Caleb Williams, and figuring out, where they're supposed to go and all that stuff. But it just wasn't pretty all around. I mean, it was just ugly. I mean, it is what it is. And I just kind of felt bad for him too, because he looked so comfortable at the beginning. When I saw that, I'm like, man, this is the jump you're looking for from week 1 to week 2. And then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose with all the blitz and everything. And then he didn't look as comfortable. But when he started this game, I was like, man, he looks like he's in command and control.
Yeah, with that first 3rd and 12, right? He hits Carter there for the first down, and you're like, yes, that is the throw, right? I mean, it was on a rope. You can see his arm. It was the right read, and he just hit him, and it was a perfect throw. A lot of balls for DeAndre Carter today, which tells you one thing, right? You do want to see it go to Dunze. You do want to see it go to DJ Moore. But he's going to where the defense is giving him, which you like to see from a young quarterback. He's not forcing it to the other guys. He's going with his reads and throwing the ball out. But like you, Pat, when I saw that first drive, I was thinking, okay, this is the step we're looking for. And obviously, that didn't go on the whole game.
Yeah, the 3rd and 12 to DeAndre Carter that Olin just mentioned, and then followed by another to Carter for a first down, a 3rd and 2 completion before the Will Anderson breaks through with a little bit of, hey, here's what's to come for you, Caleb, as he was able to break through on that. What about, and we'll get to some of your calls, by the way. I see you guys. I haven't even gotten out the number, and the phone lines are popping. 312-644-6767. We will get to your calls here on the Great Clips postgame show presented by Wonderverse and Sony Pictures. On the interceptions, I thought that the first one, the 3rd and 10, I didn't necessarily have a problem with it because it's a 3rd and 10, and the Bears are not converting on 3rd and long. So to heave it down the field, it backs them up no matter what.
And that was more of a one-on-one 50-50 ball.
Yes, it was.
The other one, I hate to talk over you. The other one, he's throwing into triple coverage. And that was terrible.
Triple coverage. Yeah. And I also think, guys, I think that, to me, here's what's going through Caleb Williams' head at that point. He makes the great escape on that thing, and then I think he goes into free play mode. I think that's what it feels like to Caleb Williams. So I don't know what you guys thought about the 2 picks and again, the culpability, Olin, in those plays, or if he's taking shots in a kind of a desperate situation.
Yeah, just what you guys talked about, right? The second one wasn't really good. It was triple coverage, but picks are never good. No matter how you want to paint them, no matter how you want to put a makeup on a pig. And I know he's a young quarterback, and we all want him to be great. But takeaways, turnovers are not good. Even Chris Collinsworth was trying to put makeup on a pig there. You can tell he's a big Caleb Williams fan.
Yeah.
And you love that. And you love the fact that he sees potential in this young quarterback. But it just seemed like, whatever Caleb did, he was going to give you the rosy picture, and that's fine, But all I'm saying is no, like we can't turn the ball over, right? We all said last week, well, he played terrible, but at least he didn't turn the ball over. Now we're all going to say this week, well, he turned the ball over, but it wasn't that bad.
Right.
No. Let's not do that.
I'm already
okay? Let's not. Let's just call a spade and let this thing play out. Let the team, let the game play out. He'll get better. He'll watch his film. They said the best thing I heard tonight was that as you know, Pat. Chris Collinsworth, they come in the building, and these coaches, when they're behind closed doors, they say different things than they would say in front of the media at the podium. And when he said that the coaches, when he got there, they stressed that he was extremely coachable after the way they played last week. That I like to hear.
Yes.
Because as you know, that's not always true, right? That's not always true, and the fact that he was coachable. But, if we're going to say last week, hey, man, he may have played terrible, but he didn't throw the ball up. And now this week we're going to find a reason why it was good he threw the ball up. Now listen, man, I'm sorry I can't do it with everybody.
But you're so right, Olin. Chris Collinsworth made up his mind before this game started. I don't care if any bad things happen to these quarterbacks, these 2 quarterbacks can do no wrong on this night. That just felt like he was babying Caleb Williams in this game.
Felt like he was watching his grandkids, right? Yeah, well, but it's just so fun to be here watching.
It really did.
I just love it. I mean, he was so happy to be in that seat tonight with 2 young quarterbacks. You can see why, Pat, but some of it was like, okay, they are making some bad decisions, though, Chris.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, there were. It's like, hey, man, we've heard it all before. We could take it in Chicago when things go poorly for a quarterback.
Be honest, please.
We are totally fine. Let's take some phone calls, guys. 312-644-6767. This is the Great Clips post-game show presented by Wonderverse and Sony Pictures. Olin, Kreutz, Patrick Mannelly, and me, Mark Grote. I'm in for Mully, who will be on the air tomorrow morning with Haugh at 5:30, breaking down this Bears game right here on The Score, just like we're doing right here. It's John in Naperville. John, you're on The Score.
Grote, it's great to talk to you. Pat and Olin, it's an honor to talk to you guys. Olin, when you walked in and as you came into the post game and said that you remember a time that you had a great defense that added another Hall of Fame defensive player, I'm really worried that Ryan Poles is Jerry Angelo all over again. I know you're not, Olin, I know you're not a fan of Jay Cutler. The guy got beat up and bruised with no offensive line in front of him, or at least replenishing the talent on the offensive line. Here, Ryan Poles walked into the season and said, this is the best offensive line we've had. And I'd almost say that the offensive line last year was better. And if this is what we're going to see going forward in the development of Caleb Williams, we should have just kept Justin Fields and traded the pick and loaded up on more draft picks. I mean, this is just nuts.
John, thanks for the call. Olin, we'll start with you on that one.
Yeah, I sometimes I get offended that I'm the expert on bad lines and quarterbacks who get hit a lot.
What, you want my breakdown? It's all you, buddy.
So, first of all, I don't not like Jay Cutler. He did get hit a lot. I just talked about, I gave an example of us feeding the defense and not get. But listen, I want to talk a little bit more about, we all see what the O-line struggles in 2 games, and it doesn't mean they can't come out of it. It doesn't mean they can't get better. It doesn't mean Ryan Bates can't get healthy and come back and maybe shore some stuff up. The one thing that he talked about was Ryan Poles and and Jerry Angelo and that comparison. Now, Caleb's on a rookie contract, guys. Like there is 4 or 5 more years here to build what is the obvious problem, right? So I'm not going to go that far on the fact that Ryan Poles doesn't know what he's doing. Did I want him? I am on record on The Score. You can pull up all the archives. I am on record saying to draft an offensive lineman, I would have took Olashanu instead of Dunze. I would have took Juergens instead of Brisker. I would have took John Michael Schmitz instead of whoever we took there. Right, I would have took a lineman instead of Velus Jones. I'm on record even then saying that. So yes, but there is time during his contract, just that this offensive line does have to play a little better, Pat.
Yeah, no doubt. But just if you go across the board, Braxton Jones, 5th round pick. Okay, he's playing above his draft status, right? But then Tevin Jenkins was a 2nd round pick. Darnell Wright's a 1st round pick. So you got 2 guys on this line. They're youngish. One's youngish. One's really young. That have not started the year great. Like Darnell Wright, I thought played a pretty good game last week, but today he really struggled. And yes, he's going against elite pass rushers, but he's a 1st round pick. I would like to see more from him. And then you got a $10 million right guard that I think they missed on, and then they have a fill-in center. So yes, there are a lot of holes, but even the 2 high draft picks right now early in this year aren't living up to what you've drafted them to be. That's just what I've seen on film and what I saw today. So you would hope those 2 guys you could kind of work around and maybe slide in some guys inside of them that you can fill it, but it's just not working out. They're not playing as well as you'd hope right now at their young age.
In week 2, right? You want to say they can get better. Now, the only thing I will argue with you there, Pat, is that Tevin wasn't. I don't think he was posed, and they knew when they got here he couldn't play.
Gotcha.
Or he would get injured.
Yep.
They had to move. Sure. Like I argued he should be a right guard instead of left guard. Right. I'd put him back there next to right, and make that side of the line really strong.
And they did that last year, and it looked really good for a while.
Right?
Yep.
And now they got him at left guard, and he hasn't been dominant. Like you're saying, Pat, they got Coleman, Shelton. That wasn't their plan. Their plan was Bates, and he showed up. He's got a few injuries. So it's going to be interesting where they go from here, because you don't just grab guys. Most guys who can block people are already on rosters, right? So you have to develop people. They do have the young offense lineman in the 3rd round.
So, Olin, could you? I mean, it's going to be week 3, and they always talk about putting the best 5 out there. And I love you brought it up in the pregame show about putting Tevin Jenkins back at right next to Darnell Wright, and that's just a strong side you can run behind. And then maybe putting Pryor in at left guard. You know what I mean? How hard would that be to do in week 3? Pryor's kind of a veteran. Tevin's already played there. I feel like that could be a quick, not a fix, but maybe you upgrade your line a little bit that way.
Yeah, I know everybody's. Yeah, I'm Pat, as you know, I'm pro Tevin Jenkins at right guard, but they signed this right guard, gave him $10 million, which is like it's not a lot of money for a guard anymore. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but the top guards in the league make $22 million a year, right? So it's not a lot. I mean, it sounds crazy to the fan listening, but it kind of slots Nate Davis as an average starting right guard. That's what it slots him as. But I'd like to see him play better. I know a lot of people are done with him and last year and everything that happened, but when he does play, when he does do things, you can see why they gave him the money. He is a strong run blocker. He can move his feet. He can anchor on bull rushes, but he hasn't been doing a lot of that. They got beat by games today inside. They're just their offensive line is struggling, and I don't know how much of it is a young quarterback combined. I've played with rookie quarterbacks. I've played in games where I gave up 10 sacks and half was the line and half was the quarterback. And I mean, is it the chicken or the egg? Sometimes you don't have the answer unless you're in the building. And even then, Pat, me and you've been there. Even then, we don't have the damn answer in the building. We don't know. The O-line's on the bus. The O-line's at a restaurant right now drinking beer. You know what we're saying? I'll tell you what the O-line is saying. If we would have just ran the ball, man, put them under center, we would have won the game.
Back a bus
and the
too,
quarterback
right?
and the quarterback coaches are in some other way more fancy restaurant saying the O-line needs to block. That's exactly what's going on right now.
The Bears in this predicament with Ryan Bates on IR, a name to keep in mind, although he was not active tonight, but he is now healthy, is Karan Amagaji. We'll see if he gets forced into work sooner than maybe the Bears had planned. Bill Murray, another guy that maybe they take a look at that they said that they liked early on, but just all sorts of ideas and potential solutions for the Bears offensive line. Let's go back to the phones here, and we get back to it with Clint in Iowa as we talk about this Bears 19-13 loss to the Texans. What up, Clint? Hello, Clint. And I think we're done with Clint. Let's go to Dave in, is that Slinger? Is Dave in the Slinger? Hey, Dave.
Yep. How you guys doing?
We're good. Well,
I was sorry about this loss tonight, but I just got the post-game show, and this guy Strauss from Houston went over and consoled Caleb Williams and said, you know, because he looked crushed after this loss, he says, "Don't look down. You got a bright season ahead of you." He just said that to him. I just saw it here on TV during the post-game show.
Hey, man, that is beautiful to hear. Thanks for bringing some positivity to the show, and say hello to the rest of Slinger. Appreciate the call, man. No, absolutely. We need a little positivity every once in a while around here. How about C.J. Stroud tonight? I mean, the guy that scared me the most, and maybe it's easy because he had a big game last week too, is a guy that I'd love to have on my team any day, and that's Nico Collins. That man is a beast and made some deadly plays in the first half, gentlemen.
Yeah, they've got a darn good roster, and what you want positivity a little bit is that now the Bears are competitive. They're in the game. I think if the Bears in the past have played a team like the Texans, it wouldn't have been close. They wouldn't have been one possession away of having a chance to win. So that's the little bit of positive part. But you still want them to play better up front. We're going to probably do that all week until we see the Colts and talk about the offensive line. But that's a good team. That Texans offense, man, and C.J. Stroud, I mean, he does everything right. He reads the defense properly. When he gets escaped, still makes a big play. He's got weapons around him, but he's a special player.
He's a good football player and held under 20 points tonight, right? What a job by the defense. What a job by Coach Eberflus. Going up against an offense coordinator that gets head coaching interviews, and everyone raves about, including me, when you watch his film. So what a great job by that defense. Good job by Coach Eberflus. Now, we all know he is not the defense coordinator. He is the head coach. So you can't go to your third OC and expect to keep your job, and that's a problem he's got to worry about. He's got to fix both sides of the ball. We know he's having meetings with Caleb Williams. He's having meetings with everybody. He's a part of everything that happens in that building stops at his doorstep. So the offensive line questions go to him. The offense not scoring questions go to him. He's got to answer, right? He's got to answer those questions. Just watching a little bit of the game right now. You can even find one sack, Pat, where Caleb locks on DJ Moore, holds the ball for 4 seconds, floats outside the pocket. He's outside of where the linemen expect him to be. Somebody's coming open on the other side, and he takes a sack. So that doesn't mean everyone's on him, but we talked a little bit earlier about his responsibility in keeping himself safe. And I've already found an example on film here where he could have done a little better job there, staying in the pocket and getting the ball out.